Hello, everyone. Welcome. Come on in, come on in. Hello, everyone. We'll just give everyone a minute to join, get comfy. Hello, everyone. Come on in. All righty. Hello. Okay, I can still see people joining, so we'll just give everyone a minute. Hello. Okay, we will begin. So hello everyone, I'm Vi. I'm e-commerce marketing expert at Omnisend. And today we're talking about how to launch last-minute campaigns when you're way behind, but it has to be sent. And we've all been there. Running a business is hard, running a team is hard, and sometimes email marketing, it just takes the back seat. But I got you. I will help you out because I've been there and I know how important it is and how it should be done, but sometimes we just get lost. So today we're focusing on back to school campaigns and theme, but this is applicable to any occasion whenever you're running behind with your email campaigns. So I'm Vi, as I said, I'm an e-commerce marketing expert at Omnisend. I've worked in e-commerce for over 7 years, in marketing over 9 years altogether. I also have a degree in behavioral economics, so I love talking about things that merge data, technology, and social sciences as well. Things to know before we dive in, this session is being recorded and you will receive the recording in a couple of days. We will include the slides and all the resources that we're gonna mention. Also, if you have any questions at any point, there's a Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. So just drop your questions in there and then I will either pause to answer them or we will wait till the end when we have a Q&A session. And we also have customer support in a chat. They are real people, so be patient and polite, please. Alrighty, let's dive in. Okay, one second. Here we go. So today's agenda is kind of like very condensed version of how to launch a campaign. Again, when it's last minute initiative, when you're running behind. And the whole goal here is because again, we've all been in positions when we have other priorities or other priorities took over. Or for example, we had to react to culture event that was relevant to our brand. That also happens, and we should pay attention to those events and be ready to react to them. So first, we're going to talk about deliverability, a quick checklist, because without deliverability, people are not getting your emails. So what's the point in your campaigns? Then I'm going to share some common campaign mistakes and how to avoid them. I'm going to share some smart sending tactics. And then at the end, we're going to have a brief session on email design and content fundamentals, because when things get busy, important things get lost. So I just want you to remember a couple of things when you're designing your last minute campaigns. And of course, we're going to have a Q&A session. So throughout the presentation, I will be pausing to check the Q&A tab. But if anything, we'll definitely have some time at the end just to go through any questions you might have, or you might want to ask for advice as well. All right, so let's dive into deliverability. First, we're going to start here first because this is where your business is likely to suffer the most and long term if you rush to push your last minute campaigns, or even if those campaigns are not last minute, this is the pressure point that you should pay lots of attention to. So with deliverability, if there's only one thing you're going to take away with you today is resist the urge to blast your full email list. Especially with last minute campaigns, I've seen people do it. I've been tempted to do it, but don't. We don't want that to happen. And that's because inbox providers, they see spikes in your email sends as suspicious. They assume that you might be sending spam, and because of that, they will start sending your messages into spam folders, or even worse, they will bounce them back. So we don't want that to happen because it takes time to rebuild that good perception of the inbox providers about you as a sender. So if you're sending campaigns, keep increasing in volume no more than 25%. And I will share a quick tip as we go along how to avoid it without going into the whole math thing and trying to work out, okay, I send that many emails, I'm going to send this many emails. I'll share a quick tip just in a couple of slides, just how to avoid it as well. Another mistake that often happens, and it's related to the previous one, when I said, do not blast your email list, people start sending emails to inactive subscribers, or they continue sending emails to inactive subscribers. So make sure that you have segments that include engaged customers, engaged subscribers. And I'll share a little template a little bit later on how to avoid it. But just remember that those people who are your engaged subscribers, they're the ones who are most likely to react and purchase from your campaigns as well. So make sure you have your engaged subscriber segments set up. And sometimes it will break our hearts to unsubscribe people, but sometimes it has to be done if they haven't opened your emails in ages. And then just a cautionary note before we start going into the Black Friday themes, because it's in a couple of months. And if at this point you're thinking about changing your domain, please stop and reconsider that, because you can, of course, change your domain if you're rebranding, for example, but make sure you have a plan for it, because it takes time to warm up your domain, and that takes about 2 to 3 months. Otherwise, you risk landing in spam folders. So if you have planned that, or I know sometimes with domains, there's last minute changes. If that's on your plan, then contact our customer support team and ask them for advice, and maybe we can help you to strategize and approach this so you don't get penalized for switching the domain so soon before the campaigns. And now I'm going to share a quick checklist for successful holiday campaigns. And this is valid whenever you're sending any campaigns, but there are some workarounds I suggest if you're sending last minute campaigns. So first of all, it doesn't matter, last minute campaign, planned campaign, make sure you're checking your email performance. And what I mean by that, it's not the open rates or the click rates. It's all about checking your email performance as your reputation as a sender. And you can access that by entering your Omnisend dashboard and then going into reports and then deliverability. You'll see a lot of information about how you're doing, and it will also indicate if something is not right. And the goal here is if your performance is poor, so maybe it's just indicating in certain areas that it's poor, then maybe it's worth contacting our customer support again to help you with that, fixing that, those settings, instead of you sending the last minute campaign. Just kind of prioritizing things, because if your reputation is poor, then your emails will start landing in spam. And I'd rather you fix your reputation now before the Black Friday starts than sending the last minute campaign. Just thinking what is worth more long term for you as well. Secondly, make sure you clean and update your list. So that means removing your inactive subscribers, maybe having a sunset policy. But right now, if we're talking about last minute campaigns, I say just make sure, again, you're not blasting your whole email list. And then you can deal with cleaning that subscriber list later. Then I recommend implementing proper segmentation and personalization. So that's related to cleaning your list. And with the segmentation and personalization, I will share some tips just shortly. But that is very important, whether you're planning long-term, short-term, last minute, just to have those personalizations. And then you should avoid spikes. As I said at the beginning, if your inbox provider sees, oh, there's a massive increase in the emails that you're sending, then we might gonna have problem long term. So check the volume before you send your campaigns and make sure you're not going over what you've sent before. Then plan the A/B testing. And of course, like when you're sending your last minute campaign, like planning A/B testing sounds like such a chore, but I'm just keeping in mind that Black Friday is coming and you need to start planning A/B testing. And this will indicate to you how would your campaign, when you're sending it last minute, how would your audience react to it? Maybe you will unlock certain subject lines, certain keywords that perform better when you're sending that last minute campaign. And also, lastly, make sure you complete post-campaign analysis. And just thinking, yeah, we got sales, that's not the analysis. And also, if you think I'll get to it at some point, you probably won't. So I recommend you scheduling 20 minutes after your campaign has finished, just to see how you did, what can be improved. And again, gathering that valuable data. What will happen when you're gonna send last minute campaign? How's that standing with your audience? Okay, just checking the chat and the Q&A tab before we move forward. All good. Alrighty, let's move on because next we have smart sending strategies. So if you're focusing on back to school campaigns, but again, this is valid and applicable to any other campaigns as well. So first of all, back to school is about new beginnings overall. So if your brand is not selling very straightforward school stuff like backpacks, then don't worry, because in September, people are thinking about smaller habits, smaller change in their lives. It's not like the new year when you have the big changes planned and resolutions. September usually means back to office. You know, people wanting to tweak something because, hey, there's 3-4 months left until the end of the year. So it's a good time to position yourself and your campaigns around that. And the best thing is you can still run those campaigns in September, as you know, people coming back to the office, it takes time, they're catching up on things. So you can still use this opportunity to send out those campaigns. Then, if applicable, tailor your message to parents, students, and teachers. If you don't have that data yet, and it would be applicable to you as a business when you're sending back to school campaigns, then we're going to link in the chat how to access your preference center. So where you would send customers to update their details and how to do that as well. So I really recommend you do it, set it up, and throughout the year, make sure people are updating those details because next year, back to school campaigns will come around. And if you don't have the data, then it's on you because it's so precious and it would help you plan your campaigns in advance and make them more personalized as well. And you can use Preference Center for any other business as well to get relevant data about your customers. Then, of course, use urgency and deadlines. It's a little bit silly to keep reminding people of that, but I'm guilty of that as well. I would be planning copy and doing other things, and I wouldn't lean into that most important thing, urgency. And especially back to school, we have a week left, but again, we can go over that as well. So make sure you're doing it. And one thing that I always used to tell my clients as well is if you're behind with this campaign, don't worry because your subscribers are probably behind as well. And also personalize subject lines and content blocks. When things get really busy, sometimes you forget that those options exist in Omnisend. So I'll share some more tips on how you can use Omnisend AI to help you with that. So just bear with me. But these are the main things that I would go through before sending a campaign last minute. Is it actually relevant to my business as a theme, like it's back to school? You can still make it work. If you're not selling straightforward products that are related to school, make sure you tailor the message to different audiences. And if you don't have the data, think about collecting more data. Then make sure you use urgency and deadlines. Again, if you're behind, your subscribers are probably as well. So you can still send it out and still have great results here. And then personalize your subject lines and content blocks. that will always bring you higher ROI, just because as humans, we like when things are relevant to us. Not just humans, as shoppers as well. So one of the things that I wanted to add to this strategy is the product recommended tool we have at Omnisend. And I know that when we are sending last minute campaigns, things get messy. Like, what are we sending? What are we selling as well? Especially if you have lots of SKUs and products and categories, people start to scramble. And if you're a one man, one woman band, like I know how frustrating it can be. So adding this block to your email can become your saving grace, especially with personalizations. So I would say, you have your email headline, your image, call to action, and instead of like handpicking different products to add, which is time consuming, unless you really have specific idea for that, then go for it. But I say if you want a little bit quicker solution here, use this product recommender. And as you can see in your screen, you can use standard recommendation, so your best-selling products. If your whole store is relevant to the campaign that you're sending, then just click that. And then you'll just choose how many items to display, and all of them are going to be your best sellers. If they're best sellers for a reason, people in your campaign are likely to buy them. Then you can also add recently added products. And that is great if you literally just added new collection, new items specifically for this campaign or this season. But just make sure you always test emails by sending them to yourself just to see what products are appearing in that email. And then you can also use the personalized recommendations. And those are great when you are sending out a discount code for your whole store, meaning that your campaign is a headline, an image, and then a discount code. Then if you're adding personalized recommendations, then people who receive those emails will start seeing either similar products to what they purchased in the past, or they're going to get product recommendations that are based on the users recently viewed products as well. This is really great if someone has been on your store and they've been eyeing some things, but they haven't been buying. So those will appear in that campaign with the discount code. So give it a try, see how it goes. And also it's worth noting that personalized recommendations will have a fallback option. So if that cannot be displayed for your for your subscriber, then you will have either your best-selling products or recently added products, depending on your setting. And then lastly, I've been talking a lot about segmentation and not blasting your email list. So if in doubt, focus on these segments. And those are your engaged people. So what you're seeing on your screen right now is a starting point. Make sure you adjust it to your store and your customer behavior. But again, if I didn't have anything, this is where I would start. So those 30, 60, 90, what they mean, this is the time frame. So 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. I would set up a segment like this. First of all, subscription status, subscribe to their emails. And then the following rules go like this. The person has also either opened at least 2 messages in the last 30 days or 60 or 90 days. They have either viewed a page at least once in 30, 60, 90 days. And then they also could have they had added product to cart at least once. So these rules are set up based on rules, meaning in the past 30 days, they have done one of these things. They either opened messages, viewed pages, and added products to cart, and that shows their engagement. Then you just duplicate this segment and then set the day's time frame to 60 or 90, or you just have 3 segments. So I would have this segment and I would send my last minute campaigns to these people only, especially if I don't have the space and time to think about any other strategy. Because the way I see it, even if you send it to more segments, to more people, or even your whole email list, but if you don't want to do that, if you send it to everyone, these are the people who are still most likely to spend money with you and who most likely would have bought from you if you send that campaign either just to them or to more people. So just make sure you utilize this if you're an absolutely scramble and don't know what to do. Alrighty. Then we go on to giving your email a second chance. So sometimes when you have campaigns planned, especially if that campaign is really important to you, I think it's also important to give that campaign a second chance to be seen by your subscribers. So at Omnisend, we have this feature called Campaign Booster. And what it does, it reaches your email non-openers, meaning once you send a campaign, you can set up Campaign Booster and set a time frame. When should you send a follow-up email to people who haven't opened the original one? This way you will exclude anyone who have opened the first email and just, giving a little nudge to people who didn't get a chance to open the original one. And the pro tip here is use different subject line. Otherwise, it might look like a glitch, or people will just skip that email thinking that you might be spamming them. And also, you can tweak the send time. Again, if it's last minute campaign, I would say 24 hours is perfect. And then just for other times, just test it, see what works best, what other things are planned with that campaign, and then you can adjust it. I wouldn't go over 48 hours because that's just way too long considering the first email that you sent. And to activate it is very easy. Once you have your campaign set up and you're in your review section, you just toggle, you just move the toggle under the campaign booster feature and you set up the rules. So you can either have an email booster or SMS booster. If it's an email booster, you can change the subject line and you can also change the content of the email. So it's absolutely up to you what you're doing. But again, if you're in a hurry, just make sure you're changing the subject line there. And also you can set up the rules, whether this booster is going to be sent out to people who have not opened the email or they have not clicked the email. My personal recommendation is making sure it's for those who have not opened the email. Otherwise, there are reasons why people clicked, but they haven't bought anything. So that's just like my pro tip. And again, setting the time when to send that booster. If it's your last minute campaign, 24 hours. If not, anything up to 48, I would say it's great. Alrighty, you're gonna move into email design and content. Just checking if you have any questions, and then we'll move on. Okay, so there's a question. Okay, earlier I said don't send to your entire list, but if you are resending an email, how is that different? And shouldn't you try a few times before taking inactive emails? Okay, so to answer the first section is campaign booster not the same as sending to the whole email list? And the campaign booster will only be sent to that segment that you select at the beginning. So imagine you set up your whole campaign, you have your segment set up, who are you sending to, and then only from that segment, people who have not opened will receive the follow-up email. It will not be sent to anyone else outside the original segments that you have selected when setting the campaign. And then the other part of the question is, shouldn't you try a few times before taking inactive emails? Yes, that's absolutely what I recommend. We do have a webinar on that. But if you can look for Agnes' webinar on DIY audit webinar, that would be great. We can link it in the chat. And we have a webinar where we talk about what to do with people who have not engaged with your emails in a very long time. So first you would probably, and our recommendation is to set up a sunset campaign, meaning that's exactly what you're saying, just trying a few more times with maybe bigger incentives or probably just incentives and discounts most of the time, I would say, is the only thing that works. And then after you try that a couple of times, then you can make a decision whether you're going to unsubscribe those people or maybe just put them in a segment and make sure you're always excluding them as well. And then the good thing is that eventually, if one of those people in this segment will react to any of your messages, they'll be taken out of that segment. So I hope that answers that. If you still have any follow-up questions, just drop them in the chat. I will pause later and pick those up. Alrighty, let's move on to email design and content fundamentals. So I decided to include this as well today because I think, again, when things get hectic, important things get lost. And especially when it comes to copywriting and then picking the design, you are already overwhelmed because you're behind and now you have to come up with all these things. So I just wanted to provide some comfort, hopefully, and just strategy, what to do. And we also have Omnisend AI tools to help you with that. Alrighty, so part one is not your offer, is your copy. So if someone is purely a deal hunter, the offer is everything for them. They will do their research, they will compare things, they will find the best deal, and that's it. Those people exist. Sometimes, depending on what you're selling, you'll have more or less people like that. But thanks to our senior content marketing manager, Milda, she brought our attention to this research that said 7 out of 10 consumers consider themselves loyal to a certain brand. And for 30% of those, brand loyalty was rooted on trust, love, and genuine devotion. And those are very strong emotional factors. And you can't build that connection purely on a 50% off deal. Okay. So what this means is that the way your brand and product makes your subscribers, your customers feel is just as important as your offer that you're making them. So how do we influence that feeling? And more often than not is through clever copy. And clever copy is not something, a genius coded thing, but it's more about how you make your audience feel. Are you being intentional with what you're saying? Does that resonate with your audience? That's what clever means. And especially during back to school season and any Black Friday, Christmas seasons after that, people are being flooded with emails in their inboxes. And if you don't have copy that stands out because you start with subject lines, then you're just going to be washed away with the rest of the emails during that period. So before we talk structure and subject lines, start with this mindset. Your job is not to inform, it's to resonate. Okay, I'll just say that again. When it comes to your copy, your job is not to inform, it's to resonate with your audience. So when it comes to back to school shopping, it's no exception. It's just as emotional as it is functional. So parents and students, they're making micro decisions, little decisions that say something about who they are. And sometimes this asking question, am I prepared? Am I doing this right? Do I look like a mess or like I've got it together? And that's why emotional drivers matter more than features of your product. So a backpack isn't just a backpack. It can be a difference between feeling ready and feeling underprepared. So your copy needs to reflect that and those emotions and feelings. So show how your product delivers relief, confidence, or control, and speak to the emotion behind the purchase. So you look something like that. I'm not buying a backpack, I'm buying peace of mind. So let's break down some of the emotional drivers shoppers experience during this season or any other big shopping season as well. So you can spot them and use these emotional drivers in your messaging. So first of all, we have pain. So that's stress, overwhelm, decision fatigue. It's very powerful because when we're in pain, we really want that relief. And if your product can do that, that's a winning combination. Then there's safety, doing what's right for their kids, if we're talking about back to school campaigns. Then there's self-image, being the organized parent or the organized student. And self-image is also a very strong emotional driver because we think about ourselves and how we presenting ourselves in the world, how are we holding ourselves. So that's also a very, very strong emotional driver to consider when you're doing your campaigns. Also, there's convenience. And yes, that's emotional driver because shortcuts, they save time and with that convenience comes peace and comfort. So really lean into it if you can. And there's also control. There's smart spending and avoiding regret as well. So really go one layer deeper when thinking about your audience's motivation to shop with you. Because what else besides a new backpack are they trying to buy? And then try speaking to that. Then here's where we move from emotions into actions. Because people make decisions emotionally, yes, but they also love shortcuts. So that's where your mental triggers come in. Think of the mental triggers as your psychological prompts that reduce the energy it takes to decide, or those are cues that make people act faster. So, for example, urgency. It works because we hate missing out, or we don't want to miss out. How painful would that be if there's a great offer and I miss out on that one? There's also social proof because that taps into our herd instinct. We feel safer doing what others are doing as well. There's reciprocity that makes people feel more open to return a favor by engaging. So there's exclusivity as well, especially for your VIP customers, people who have been shopping with you for a long time or they have been spending lots of money with you. So make sure you create that as well for them with your campaigns. So it's important to not try to cram all of these triggers into your emails. I would pick one or two that matches your angle and then just build your narrative around those. For example, a limited time bundle creates urgency, and testimonials or someone's success story, that is your social proof. So these triggers work across the board, but they're especially powerful during these high stake buying seasons like back to school or Black Friday or Christmas as well. And most importantly, which I think, especially if you're a copywriter or if you're a creative person, don't expect people to read everything you wrote. Because we as people, we scan our emails, we scan the text, and no one will read word by word of what you've written. So here's a little strategy how to approach this whole copy thing. First of all, subject line. This must spark the curiosity and emotion. It has one job: get them to open your email. So use curiosity, specificity, or an emotional hook. Then there's the opening. This builds the bridge. By the opening, I mean like the opening line. It needs to make the reader feel understood. Something like, you're not the only one still figuring it out. Okay? It works better than saying things like, we're excited to announce we have this product. So you're really leaning into, into building that connection with your subscriber who just opened the email. Then we have the core message. It should agitate the pain and then solve it with your product and what you're selling. So it could be something like, you're juggling 10 things. Our prep kit makes one of them disappear. So you're like agitating the pain the person has. And then you're saying, hey, but I can solve this with my product. So that is leading your customer to act. And then you have proof. And social proof is really important because if someone has not bought from you before, this is even more important. They need to trust. They need something to believe that you can actually deliver what you're promising. So add credibility and confidence by adding reviews, testimonials, UGC content. Make sure it's that just to reinforce your message and to assure your subscriber or the person who's reading your email. And then, of course, call to action, the CTA. Make sure it's clear and benefit driven. It should tell the person who's reading the email, what's going to happen next. That could be, shop now, buy this now. Then you'll know, okay, if I press this button, I'll probably go into the product page. So make sure it's very clear and not confusing. Don't try to be smart here. It has to be straightforward, telling the person what's going to happen next. And the best thing is we have Omnisend AI for content creation. And it's just important that you understood what's happening on the emotional side when we are strategizing to talk to our audiences. But we have Omnisend AI to help you with that as well. So first of all, subject lines. I imagine you're behind. You need to send this campaign. There's all these other things that must happen. So with Omnisend AI, it's already collecting the context based on your store. What are you selling? What's your brand of voice from ton of voice from your previous campaigns. So it's collecting all that data, and all you have to do is just to tell the Omnisend AI what campaign this is, what's your goal, what are you selling, and it's going to give you a couple of options back. And then if anything, you can give it more information to find the perfect subject line. It also works for pre-headers. So once you decided on your subject line, then you'll go to your pre-header, and Omnisend AI will pull the subject line data to create a perfect pre-header to match that. So definitely play around with it, and it will definitely take that mental weight that you have in thinking everything else through. Then we have the smart editing tool in your email builder. Meaning if you're deciding to write copy, you have a clear plan, or maybe you're a copywriter for an email. So make sure if you're writing everything down, Omnisend AI, it's gonna start giving you suggestions, or maybe like copy tone or grammar suggestions or style suggestions. So just make sure you're using it to assist you, because again, I'm sure you have a lot on your plate, and maybe getting that second opinion is worth it. And then if you're really, really in a rut, or you just have other things to do and you're halfway through with your campaign, then you can again just talk to Omnisend AI and give it more context. Be like, I want this headline for this and that. And then see what comes out and talk to it. Then you can go into your message, the core message section, and then be like, hey, I need this message to say this. And then go to your CTA button and say again, I want a CTA to send people there and there and do this. And see what comes out. You can again talk to the AI, or you might like the first results that you'll get. So absolutely use this to your advantage. And then secondly, the design. And here's the thing. Good design isn't just about how something looks. It's about how it works. And it's so, so important, because when it comes to email marketing or any marketing, the end goal here is to sell things. So you can have the prettiest designs, but if it's not doing what you want it to do, it's not working. And that's the problem. So why design matters more during back to school campaigns? It's because like in August, there's usually the email volume that goes up by 30%. And just think about it this way, it's now going up for back to school, and there's going to be Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas, other holidays. It's only going to keep increasing. So your design needs to do its job. It needs to guide people and show people where to look in your email, what to read, and what to do. So you can have the best content, but if design is not supporting it, it can be worthless sometimes. And also just take this perspective that on average, people are spending 9 seconds to look at marketing emails. Just 9 seconds. So that's why you need very clear message with all the props in there as well. And then you have a clean design that guides people where to look, where to read, and what to do next. Keep in mind how people actually read emails, because they don't. We scan those emails, and there are two most common patterns that come in F or Z letter shapes. So make sure your designs convey that, and put your key message at the top, because as you can see in both patterns, the top section is the most important. This is where we always look. And then secondly, use a bold headline, add one strong image, and place your call to action button early. We could go through many other tactics of design, but remember this holy trinity: one headline, one image, one call to action button. And just stick with that. Again, if this is your last minute campaign, I know you're rushing through it. Just keep sticking with this holy trinity: one headline, one image, one CTA. And of course, we're going to talk a little bit about colors as well. So when you're looking at, there is that color psychology side of things. And since we're talking about back to school, there are three colors that seems to stand out and make the most sense for these campaigns. So think about introducing yellow, because that feels fun, energetic. So it's perfect for kids' clothing, kids' items, some things that, very energetic and just sparkly, I would say. Then we have green that says fresh start, learning new routines, new habits. Really lean into that. There's also navy blue and dark blue, which is a classic, and it builds trust as well. It's also kind of like premium color as well. So just consider this, or if you're still a little bit stuck what colors to use, then just do a little bit more research. Literally a couple of minutes on the internet will tell you more about the color psychology there as well. And an interesting data point here as well is that 85% of people say color influences their purchase decision. So maybe it's worth spending a couple minutes figuring out the best color combination. And also just a note here as well on Omnisend AI, if you have your brand assets set up, so once you create your Omnisend account, usually there's an option to create your brand assets. So adding your colors to your fonts, your logo. And then Omnisend will be pulling those into your email as well. So you have the branding consistent throughout all your campaigns as well. And one last thing before we go to the next slide is consider your font sizes, because sometimes people want to cram in more pictures or add other things, and then they just minimize the body text as much as possible, but make sure it's large, it's big, and it's readable. Alrighty. If there's one thing when it comes to design that I want you to take away today, is that please design your emails for mobile first, because it cannot be an afterthought now, because up to 74% of email opens in retail and e-commerce happens on mobile phones. For some brands, and I recommend you do your data checkup as well to see what's more applicable to your brand. But I've seen brands that have almost close to 90% of their emails being open on phones. So when you go into your Omnisend account and you're designing your campaign email, I would recommend going straight to the mobile view and just designing it there, and then going into your desktop view and adjusting things if needed. And also there's this thing that I've noticed a couple of years ago, and even going in now with more data, is that, and I act the same way. If you're looking at something on your phone, an email, and something looks off, broken, the size not fitting, the text is overflowing, things are not working, like, I don't like that. That just ruins the trust in the brand, in the product, and I usually just close the email. But if something is not working or is a little bit broken on desktop, I'm more forgiving that. So I've noticed that, like, when interviewing customers of the brands that I would be consulting, that's usually the thing. Oh yeah, the image was just weirdly sized. I didn't like how it looked on my phone. I just closed the email, never opened it again. So yes, my top advice here is make sure you're designing your email campaigns, or your emails in general, mobile first, and then check it for desktop. And then finally, make your CTA irresistible. So that call to action. Make sure your buttons are large, they're big, they're contrasting so people can see what's written on them, and think about the mobile experience as well. Make sure the buttons are easy to click, people can see them, and make sure you add your first button that leads into your product page quite early on in the email so people can see it, click on it, and go shopping. Also, I would recommend always hyperlink your images that you're adding to your email, because people might not just scroll to the button. They'll just be clicking everywhere in the email. And if you have an image, they'll be clicking on that. So make sure it takes people to your product page to shop. So quick ones to remember. Keep it focused. One message per email. Make sure you're guiding people's eyes with your designs. So bold headlines, clear images, strong visual hierarchy, and then design for thumbs. Design for mobile first layouts as well. And remember, the holy trinity: one bold headline, one bold image, and a clear CTA. So here are some examples of excellent campaigns. So again, bold headlines, clear images, clear CTAs, clear buttons, clear offers here as well. And the best thing is, at Omnisend, we have templates available for you. So you just need to go into creating your campaign page and then pick the template. We have back to school campaigns, we have others, and those templates are made using best practices. So you know that you won't have to redesign everything because it's not working. It's made using best practices for you. And just make sure you're maintaining these things: one bold headline, one bold image, one bold CTA, and may I add, product recommender at the bottom. And this is a condensed version for launching last minute campaign. And if you want to learn more, we will link 2 more webinars based on which we created this one. I will link them in a chat and add this to recap email, but it's the back to school email checklist with Munger does, where he goes through deliverability and strategies in more detail. We also have Rasa and Milda talking about design and content in more detail as well, so you can go through that as well. And before I wrap this up, let me check the chat if there are any questions. Alrighty, all looks clear. Alrighty, we'll go into the summary and key takeaways, and then we'll have a moment for any Q&A questions. Righty, so deliverability is the foundation of successful email campaigns. Focus on that first because the effects of that will be long-term. Make sure you're maintaining good deliverability, you're checking everything in your account, that you don't have poor reputation. Then segment smartly to boost engagement and sales. Make sure you're implementing those segmentation strategies, best practices. But if you're in doubt, create engaged segments and focus on them for your last minute campaigns. Then always use personalization like product recommender. That will not only save you time because you'll be able to show your best products, but also that makes your subscribers' experience so much more personalized and showing them relevant items as well. Then don't forget the power of the second send with Campaign Booster. Okay, sometimes people just don't have time to open emails, and if you're sending to engaged segments, then those people probably want to see that email. Maybe they missed it, other things came up, but also remember that everyone's getting so many emails from other brands, so it can get easy to get lost in inboxes. And then when it comes to email content and design, emotion drives back to school sales, not just discounts. And that is applicable all the time to any campaign that you send. Those emotion drivers will carry so much weight for you. Then mental triggers turn browsers into buyers. Go one layer deep. What is it that they're actually buying? Is it a backpack or peace of mind? And then talk to that deeper level of what they're buying. Then don't overwrite, design for scanning. Again, no one's going to read the whole email. Make sure you have clear message, it's laid out perfectly, and you have all your main points in there. Then keep design consistent. Avoid too many fonts or colors. Make it clear, easy to scan. And remember, one headline, one image, one call to action. Okay, that is it. Let me check if you have any questions. Thank you, Libby. Alrighty, all is looking good. And everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. If you still have any questions about anything I shared, maybe you need help with your deliverability, as I said, it's so important, and that having good deliverability means that people are getting your emails and people are getting to see your emails and get your offers. So if you need any help with that, just contact our customer support team. They'll be more than happy to help you, and they're available 24/7. And you will receive the recording of this webinar in a couple of days. We will include the slides and all the resources that I have shared. And yeah, I hope to see you again soon. Thank you everyone so much for joining me. Bye.